Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dear Work Wives.
I'm
I had to
Emily.
burp, sorry.
I was like, oh, she's waiting me to do the intros. But I am still Emily.
And I'm Adrian. Just
And
excuse me.
we are doubling up, if you notice we're wearing the same clothes.
Oh,
But it's because we have to double up. We are recording 2 episodes in one day because I'm going on vacation in a few days. And then Adrian and I are going to be at a conference together, which is so exciting.
so fun. It's called Podcast Movement. If there's any other podcasters out there, Emily and I will be there
Yeah.
live
Or are
to
here as this airs. This was going to air the day that we're there. So we're here.
live. And we're even going to be doing a live recording tonight.
I know. I'm really excited. And so, we do this little thing in part of Clockwork called batching your work. It's more efficient. So this is us batching our work. So because we kind of already did a little bit of a catch up, we're going to do Would You Rather again because we got some good feedback. And I'm going to ask you the questions this time, but I'm also going to give my opinion because I always have
How
one.
could you not? Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So first, would you rather work at have a terrible boss and a good job, or a good boss and a terrible job?
What's terrible job mean, I guess?
Like you hate the work you're doing,
Um,
but you love the people you work with, or hate the people you work with, but love the work you do.
That's hard. I think I'd rather love the people and hate the job, but that's really hard
Wholeheartedly agree.
because
I think it's more emotionally challenging to work with people who you don't like than it is to just do mindless work all day.
yeah, totally.
Personal for me.
For me, same.
I know there are
It feels sad to like give up even this hypothetical scenario, like give up the work that I love. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
that would be amazing though. I get to do the work that I love.
Yeah.
Nothing will make me sad about that except being around miserable people all day. That would probably it would be a real buzzkill. So I guess I'd choose to do something I didn't really love doing, but especially if it was like monotonous, I could get into that,
Yeah.
Just doing some monotonous work that really kind of sucks. But there's also something to be said about like when you go home at night, that type of monotonous work that you don't have to think about, you can just shut your brain off.
I know.
Sometimes I like
dream of that,
romanticize a life where like I do something like very shift work, like when I'm out and it's not something that I think about at the end of the day.
Yeah, I
It's
did
not
that.
my life, but I do romanticize that thought.
I remember when I first moved, I don't know, like 13, 14 years ago, I moved back to Ontario for what turned out to be 8 months from BC because my dad was really sick. So I moved back home to help take care of him. And I got a job at a mushroom farm, picking mushrooms because I just needed a job,
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, whatever, it's fine. You just show up and I lasted 3 days.
No.
Before I couldn't do it. I was like, this is the worst.
So hard.
It was so mindless and boring.
Yeah.
And I didn't like the people I worked with either.
So it was both. Yeah.
Because I was like, as I was saying, I was like, oh, I think I'm contradicting myself. The work was awful. The work was awful. But I didn't like the people I worked with. Would it have been better if I liked the people I work with? Probably, because you could have like chit-chatted.
Yeah.
It's the kind of job where you can chit chat and you could like.
Yeah.
So yeah. People.
All right. Same people.
Okay. Would you rather go on a nearby business trip alone or travel far away with all of your coworkers?
Travel far away with all of my coworkers.
Easy question because you like all of us. But
yeah.
What if it's option B where you like don't like your coworkers and you're like really far away from home? Like you get to explore like England or Scotland though.
But I think I'd still like to travel,
Yeah.
Even if they suck.
Would you rather, this is a good one. Would you rather work 4-day weeks or work 2 months on and 1 month off?
Do I have the same job I currently have?
Yeah, like this job. 4-day weeks or 2 weeks on.
4-day weeks for me because I'd still be thinking about stuff even during
because you're an entrepreneur.
I just can't. Yeah.
What if it was just a job though? Like put your job hat on. Pretend this is just a job for you and you don't own the company.
Then probably 2 months on, 1 month off would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like
But then on the 2 months on, am I working 7 days a week or 5
yeah,
days?
like you work for 2 months straight and then you get a month off because I think that's the same math.
Oh, no. 4-day week still. I don't want to work 7 days. I can't.
No. I think that like a 4-day work week is actually so luxurious.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's nothing that you can't do. You can take a long weekend away because you have a 3-day weekend. You can't, like it's just perfect.
You can like get some things done, especially if you have children, like they're still at school or daycare. Yeah. You can like get some things done for yourself so that when the weekend comes, you're a little bit more like
refreshed and
ready to go. And
yeah,
I'm picking the 4-day week either way.
I agree wholeheartedly. This is funny. Would you rather work, you're an employee, you're not you. Would you rather work for a startup or a corporation?
A startup.
Yeah.
Except I'm probably more likely to get laid off, but but it would probably be more exciting to me. Like whatever they're doing is probably more interesting to me than a corporation, but I could be wrong.
Obviously I have it. The only reason that I would pick a corporation is because of like the benefits.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like my husband, like I'm like a startup all day, but like my husband works for a corporation. So like we're good. We're good on like dental and eye care and massage,
Yeah.
Like the perks that come with a corporation
are nice.
For sure. Really appealing.
It's sort of changing my mind. I feel like maybe I want to work at a corporation now because like startups, they work you silly. Like they'll work you into the ground because they're trying to make some money. Whereas corporations, like even though people talk about how much they, have to overwork at corporations. Like I remember when I was in corporate, like you could do something in like 2 hours and they thought it was going to take you all week,
Right.
Like, they have no idea. Like
no, 100%. Like you
wow them. Like I would wow them just by doing something that's like mediocre. They're like, oh my gosh. And I think it's because so many people suck, maybe that like when you're decent at something, it just like really stands out. Like,
yeah. And you just have so much structure, like
so much structure. There's also HR. So if someone's acting inappropriate or, has too much of an ego or is being mean to me, like I can report them. Whereas a lot of startups, that's not even a thing. And then you're just like, arguing with the CEO and that ain't going to work. So
totally.
I don't know. Sometimes I think startups and small businesses are actually more toxic than corporations.
They have less things generally. I'm generalizing. This is not true for everyone, but they have less things in place to protect the employee.
Yeah.
And themselves, which is why it can get toxic really quickly because they don't have the resources to make sure everything is spick and span all the time.
Yep.
So, okay. This is the best. Would you rather be the best at a terrible job or be the worst at your dream job?
I struggle because I always want to be the best, but I'm going to be the worst at my dream job and I'm going to work my tush off and I'm going to become the best. And the reason I'm the worst is because there's so many people there that I can learn from. So I'm going to go there and I'm going to be the worst and I'm going to learn from these people.
You're such an Enneagram 3. I'm going to pick the other option because I'm going to become the best, basically, is what you said.
Yeah, I'm going to become the best because I have this environment where I can learn from all these people who are doing such an incredible job. But at least I'm doing something that I love.
Oh, man.
And I want to get better at versus like, oh, you're the best at picking mushrooms. Like,
yeah.
Like, wow. Thank you. Like that doesn't really do that much for my ego.
Right.
So I'm going to be the worst.
Okay.
What about you?
I don't know if I could handle the emotional toll of being the worst at something. Like, I don't think I'm not an Enneagram 3. I'm an Enneagram 6. So to me, I would crumble under that. So I
And
think I
I'm
need to
like,
be the best at the worst job, to be
yeah,
honest.
and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be the worst and then become the best. So it's
Yeah.
fine. I love it.
Oh, I love how
Okay.
we're both like come out. Okay, let's do a fun one. Oh my gosh, this is so dumb, but I love it. Would you would you rather chew cold hard ice cream or eat hot food without blowing on it?
Oh gosh. I guess the cold hard ice cream because it's more temporary
Then
than
scalding
if
your
I
mouth.
then scalding my mouth and then I burn my taste buds off.
Totally. Oh my gosh, a burnt mouth is way worse than a cold mouth.
Like I hate the cold sensation too, because then it hurts your brain and all of that, but at least it like goes away after a couple minutes.
No, I agree. I think you're right. Also, I am, fun fact, I do bite my ice cream. I am that
Ugh.
person.
Ugh.
I
Yeah.
don't
Lick it.
it takes me 4 seconds to eat any sort of ice cream or popsicle because I just, and honestly, if you hand me a sucker, I'm gonna bite it too. You know, like um
That's hilarious.
I also don't have feeling left in my fingertips from, so like when I like
Cutting
pull hot things out, like I don't feel them anymore
from burning them so
from burning
much.
them so many times. So yeah, it singes them right up. I mean, I do have fingertips, FBI, if you're
And taste
listening, but
buds.
and taste buds. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that was fun. I love these. I think we just need to do them all the time when we have nothing to say to each other, which
Perfect.
is rare, but it was rare.
But
I was
today.
there. Okay, so we have 3 stories from Reddit today. I'm going to read them to Adrienne. She has no idea what these stories are, so we're going to get her immediate surprise reaction to them. Okay. This is the title. Hearing the phrase "stay in your lane" makes me irrationally angry. Need advice. At work, there's a manager who oversees the team that I write reports to funders on. We do not report to each other, but our roles support each other. Her team gets the outcomes. I make sure it's communicated. I find this manager highly ineffective, and they are known as the workplace bully. They preach the idea of staying in your lane. On the surface, it makes sense. Everyone has a job to do, and we have to get these essential duties completed. Sometimes folks get distracted and miss important responsibilities, when certain tasks don't get done or don't get done well, it's a problem. Staying in your lane makes sense to some degree, but I'm not going to stay in my lane when I'm stuck in traffic. If a deadline is approaching and you haven't gotten your shit done, I'm going to say something. I'm not going to handle my reporting last minute because your team didn't get your stuff done. How do I handle someone who's constantly saying, stay in your lane, if them staying in their lane means I'm stuck in traffic?
Yeah, you have to communicate that. And I think that's a beautiful way to communicate it. Like, I totally understand the sentiment of staying in my lane, except that there are certain times when there are things that cross over into my department. Our departments work very closely together. I need your stuff, to be able to do my stuff, etc. And there are certain times when staying in my lane creates traffic or when there are roadblocks, right?
Yeah.
And we need a better way to communicate those things with each other so that we can move more smoothly. But I do think you should say something.
Yeah.
And I think you could use that analogy because it makes sense. I mean, we have like in our business, we have a Slack and every day we put concerns or roadblocks at the end of what are the roadblocks, right? And maybe there's just a system that you need so that you as a team can communicate when someone is a roadblock to you doing your reporting or to something that needs to be communicated. So that it's not like confrontational. It's just like a system and part of the business. And then they can update you of when you can expect it, etc. But I definitely think you don't need to be staying in your lane right now because it's not, I think it is your lane though. Like it is that's the thing. And that's what I would communicate is like, well, actually this is my lane because it does
collaborative.
This is a collaborative unit, even though you have your responsibilities and I have mine, like these all
overlap
the same thing. And we're waiting on you for this. And we can't do this until we have this from you. And so this is actually still my lane.
I have definitely been guilty of like when someone is coming for me
Mhm.
or my work, or questioning something, like thinking of like, oh, I wish they would just stay in their lane. Like, just let me do my thing and you do your thing. It's usually when things are not going well in my lane. So I'm like, can you just
Then it
leave me be to
feels,
sort this out? You know? So
yeah.
I'm not saying I think it's right by any stretch, but I totally understand that sentiment of like, I'm aware that there's a problem and I'm trying to fix it. Can you just like back off for a minute? Um, but I do think that people say it all the time in more of a this is none of your business kind of way,
Mhm,
you know?
mhm.
And it's
Yeah.
like it is my business. And there's a difference between like this is none of your business and I know there's a problem and I'm trying to fix it. Give me a minute, you know?
Right. It sounds like
So
this is like a repeat thing though, whether it's like monthly they have reporting that they're supposed to do or
yeah.
something like that, and it's not
Yeah.
working on the timelines. So I think, yeah, having a conversation with this person, I wouldn't put them on the spot. I wouldn't do it in a group setting either, because I think that would not go well in terms of making them feel, especially if they already know there's a problem and they're feeling behind, and then you're calling them out in front of people. Like,
Yeah.
I would do this privately. I would communicate why it's really important for you all to be on the same page, or how can I support you
Mm-hmm.
to get these things done on time or whatever, so that we can be more collaborative.
Yeah.
But that I think we're all working in the same lane here. You know?
Exactly. We're going on this, even if it's slightly separate, like we're going on the same highway.
Yeah.
So we got to work together here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Next one is I think my manager tricked me into signing an unprofessional review. I'm 20 and this is my first real job. I work as a receptionist in a medical clinic. My manager called me in for my review and told me I hadn't been progressing as they wanted. I was taken aback because absolutely no issues were ever brought up to me, and I had no idea I wasn't up to standards. We spoke and she was understanding. I explained myself for any issues she brought up, and I apologized for my actions. She had paperwork in front of her that wasn't filled out, but she said she'd fill it out after and give me a copy, but she'd get me to sign it now. And I did, stupidly. About 30 minutes later, she gave me a copy of the paperwork. I read the review. It was the most unprofessional document ever, and I cried reading it. Here are some direct quotes. You act like you know everything. You get angry when you're told to do something. You need to get off your chair and do something. Got very emotional during this review. I was heartbroken reading this. My manager mentioned that some of this was from other coworkers' opinions, and I feel like it's a very toxic environment. What do I do next? A few people have told me to take this to a lawyer. Am I overreacting? I don't know what to do next.
Yikes. Oh my gosh, that's completely inappropriate that they
Yeah.
had you sign a blank paper and then wrote all those things. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe that was what they were communicating to you in the review meeting. It sounds like not. It sounds like that's
Yeah.
not how they said it, at least. But
Right.
again, you probably like we talked about this a few episodes ago. Like, you should never be hearing about these things for the first time as a
No.
surprise at your review. So that's unfortunate as well, that like
Mm-hmm.
you weren't getting the feedback to improve along the way. So that's pretty unfair to
Yeah.
have any different expectations if you didn't even know that there was a problem. Um, if you have someone above your manager, I would probably be going to them first before I necessarily went to a lawyer, HR, or if there's a CEO or, some leadership on your team, I would be communicating what happened
Mm-hmm.
specifically. If that's not a thing, I think I would be questioning, how important is this to me? You're 20 years old. You're in a receptionist role. Is this important enough to you to spend money on a lawyer to resolve this? I
Right.
don't know. Or is it worth just starting to look for a new
Yeah.
job if this is the management that you're under right now?
Yeah.
You could also have a conversation with this person directly of like, whoa, like, I signed this paper because it was blank. This is not how I anticipated this
To
to
be
go
documented.
down. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
like, this is not what we discussed, verbatim in our conversation. And so I would like for this to be destroyed. Like, this is not the review that I approved of,
Right.
in terms of signing off on this documentation. See what happens there if you try to have that conversation. But I think it really depends on like how important this is to you, what you really want to do next, and what leadership is already in place at this place. Like if there is HR, if there is someone higher up, I'd be going to them, because this sounds a little wild.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where I would, at this stage in your life, in your career, and even you hadn't even been there, it's like a 6-month review, I would be, okay, cool, and looking elsewhere, just like not that, it's not that deep. Okay, this, like, true colors have been shown. But I wouldn't be quit on the spot. I would just start looking, start putting some feelers out. But I do, of course,
in a predicament. But
yeah, and of course, if there is upper management, I would want it documented that you signed a blank, because that is just not, I'm sure that's not policy. So I don't know. It's really unfortunate. It sounds essentially, sounds like you were really hoodwinked there.
Yeah.
But sometimes people think that they're being super clear. Like maybe that's exactly how they felt your review went verbally. Or maybe they're just a terrible manager, which kind of sounds like they are. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, last one for today. Should I leave? Oh,
as a tidbit for future, don't ever sign a blank document.
Oh, you never, ever, never. And I know that you're
20.
We're not trying to rub salt in the wound.
No. You're trusting of this person. I get it, but live and learn.
Everyone.
You've been burned. Yeah.
Never sign a blank document, especially a check.
I learned that in the movie Blank Check.
Do those even exist anymore? Checks?
Yeah, I have checks. I have to.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I have to pay in checks for kits, gymnastics, and swimming.
Do they cost money, the checks?
Check or cash? My bank provides me with like a certain number of them per year, and it's like maybe 20 or 30, and I don't use all of them. So they don't cost me like extra money or anything, but I don't write a lot of checks.
I can't remember.
We pay for her school with a check.
I can't remember the last time I wrote a check.
Yeah, we write a check at least once a month over here.
Wild.
I know.
A lot of places here just do e-transfer now.
Most places do that. I don't know why, like her school and her.
It's better documentation though. So I guess it's good for you.
I guess.
Yeah. Okay. Last one here. Should I leave a poor review about a toxic workplace I used to work at? I found myself at a toxic with a capital T workplace last year, and I left after 9 months. There's red flags everywhere. Unclear work expectations, poor communication, bad leadership. I was reduced to non-existent boundaries, passive aggressive emails at 10 p.m., manipulative and unhappy boss making the life of everyone else miserable. The role keeps getting advertised, and since I'm not in touch with anyone who works there, I believe that my experience has kept on repeating with someone else. So, duh. I'm hesitant in leaving a Glassdoor review as I risk giving too much away, which may affect me when it comes to a reference. Also, I feel sick thinking about the experience. My current workplace is so much nicer. My friends say not to dwell on the past and move on, but there's a small part of me that wants to prevent someone else from having the same experience I did. Should I leave a review on Glassdoor?
Ooh, I'm torn. I feel like, do you really need this review if you're already like happy at your next workplace? And they'd probably give you a review. Like, I don't know, there's like a little bit of like a savior complex happening. Like, do you really think you're like saving these people by writing a review? Like, maybe it's helpful, sort of, but yeah, I understand where your friends are coming from too, of like, just let it go. Like, but would leaving the review let you like
let it go,
closure and move on?
Yeah.
Because you do need to like let it go. You keep looking at, it's like an ex-boyfriend that you're like still following on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
Like, stop looking that they're continuing to have this job posted,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts? Would you leave it or no?
I mean, I feel like if you cannot, I feel like only say what you're comfortable defending. So if you are going
to make it more general.
Yeah. If you're going to leave a very specific review, just leave it knowing that you might have to defend it, if it becomes too specific. And I think that in this internet culture day and age, like there are so many people who just love to anonymously troll.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not here for like troll cancel culture. If you're going to say something, I believe that you should say it, you know, outright. And, you know, if you're speaking the truth and it's like indisputable, then just say it.
Yeah.
I don't know what it's going to accomplish for you, except for possibly opening up a can of worms. Or opening yourself up to have to keep having interactions with these people. If, you know, maybe they're going to ask you to take it down, or maybe someone's going to reach out to you, you know,
comment on Glassdoor, and then you're going to want to respond to the comment.
Yes. But then again, maybe leaving that first review is going to open the floodgates for more people to leave reviews and really expose like a truly toxic workplace. Sometimes it does take one whistleblower to, like, you know, so I guess it depends. Some of the things that you shared. Okay, go ahead.
Is there a chance that this workplace does not even know that they are toxic?
I was going to say, like, some of the things that you were sharing, like emails at 10 and unclear, poor communication and bad leadership, like that sounds like it could be any workplace. So like, is there specific stuff, or is it just, you know, like a typical want work culture? To be honest.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance that it's just like all of this stuff
not your cup of tea.
Right. And I know I'm sitting here being like, this stuff sounds so common. Why are you complaining about it? And that's not the gist.
That's not the vibe. Yeah.
Like, I'm not like saying, I'm saying this is the kind of stuff we want to change, of course. But I'm like, are you going to change it from Glassdoor?
That's why I'm like, we do want whistleblowers, like from the Dear Work Wives perspective. Like, we want people to be out there communicating that like, this is unacceptable and like things don't have to be this way. But I think that starts with leadership, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's my question, is like, does this leadership even know? It sounds like no, because they're still your reference. So when you left that organization, what did you say? Were you honest? This is why I'm leaving? Or did you sugarcoat it? Right. And that, I think, is your answer. If you sugarcoated it, do not write that Glassdoor. You didn't even give them the opportunity to change it, to fix it, to do better. They don't even know maybe that they're doing something that was inappropriate or a little bit more toxic or poor leadership, etc. If you gave them the opportunity to fix it and they didn't, Glassdoor.
100%. I wholeheartedly agree. Opinion. Yeah. Same page as always. Listen, one thing we do have to start doing is getting on different pages so that we can have a little bit more. We're always on the same page.
So can you disagree with me?
No, because you're often, you're right. And I agree with you and I'm right. So
yeah, not on this one. Maybe another one.
And maybe there'll be another one where we don't agree. Okay. Well, that's all the stories that we had for this week. And all the would you rathers. And I can't wait to see how our live recording at Podcast Movement turns out. Hopefully it's amazing. And if you're at Podcast Movement right now, come say hi to it. Come find us. I don't know where we're going to be because there's 50,000 talks happening all the time, which is amazing. But
come find the work wifeys. You
know?
We'd
love to hang out.
Yeah. We'd love to hear your toxic work stories and then put them on the podcast.
100%. We would. And we'll see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday.